don't need a publicist, you don't need a manager until you actually have some things going for yourself.
Qualify the customer, because some of y'all are just so money hungry or just...
As a publicist, I'm working on your behalf on the back end. But when they look you up, when I show them, they don't see nothing on there or nothing that they feel like is worth the coverage, then that's not my fault.
Has having events helped you grow your PR business?
It has, because to realize that's what I do by seeing the success of the events. Beyonce is one of my favorite people that I like to use an example or a case study when it comes. She's one of my favorite artists and she can do no wrong. But at one point in time, she was doing and saying a lot of wrong things. Yeah. But if you want to be right, you can't rush it, and you need great people around you. You need to listen to yourself 1,000%.
What is something that you're going to do this year that you should have done in 2025?
There should have been a little bit more planning and a little bit more.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Bree Flemings from the Content to Cash podcast. I have a really dope PR strategist from Houston, right?
Born and raised.
Named Jordan Lee Harris. Jordan Lee Harris is a PR strategist and creative force behind Who's public relations. Jordan helps brands, artists, and organizations clarify their voice, amplify their stories, and show up with intentions. From campaigns and events to media strategy and partnerships, Jordan brings structure, insight, and cultural fluency to every project, turning ideas into impact. And outside of that, y'all, if you live in Houston, we all know that we only started going to Ball Kitty because of Choosey Tuesday.
Oh, man.
To be honest. So that right there is how I met you. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up having a Afrotech partnership together. Mm-hmm. And it went amazing. Like, honestly, it set the tone for my partnerships. So thank you so much for believing in us back then.
For sure.
And for colliding together during a time that threw us both off at the time, because of, we won't say. But it honestly worked out because I got to build a relationship with Jordan when I just had moved here months before.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on to Content to Cash. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Seriously.
We've been supposed to do it, but I think that this is honestly, this is better timing. Yeah. For me, at least. So
shout out to you though, being new to Houston and really coming through like full force as you've been doing. It's dope.
Look, I love Houston, and I treat especially people that are from here like with so much respect, because I see what y'all do in the city. I would never want to disrespect it or tarnish it. And y'all show me how to give back to Houston, even in this space. Like, I'm trying to bring in the creatives, that are born and raised in Houston, because y'all have seen Houston grow and change and adapt in so many different ways, which brings me even into your industry. It's changing so much, in public relations, Publicist, like just so many different things are changing. And I want to pick your brain because like, I know you've, worked with different kinds of enterprise brands, small and medium brands. So I just am ready to pick your brain.
Okay.
You ready for me to unload the clip?
I'm ready.
So first of all, you're from Houston. And from what I've seen coming from the East Coast, Houston is much slower in adaptation than New York's, Philly's, even a little bit of Atlanta's, because Atlanta picked up faster in tech, right?
Yeah.
With that being said, how do you think Houston is evolving now that it's 2026 to tech?
With tech specifically, well, I think Texas is first of all growing because a lot of tech companies have decided to make their home bases in like Austin and Dallas. And so I think we're getting a little bit of remnants of that, first of all. Mm-hmm. And, tech is unavoidable. And so even though our major industries out here is oil and gas, medical, you maybe even can say education, we've had to incorporate tech and AI in some sort of way. I don't think we're ahead of the curve like other cities, like you mentioned, but it is evolving. It is growing, especially with all the people that's moving down here, first and foremost. And they got been moving down here for a reason. I haven't figured out exactly what that reason is just yet, but it's for a reason. And so, we're not number 3 or number 4. I think almost number 3, third largest city in the
shout out to country, Houston,
in the country for no reason, right? So it's definitely I'm excited to see what comes for sure.
And how are you contributing to the adaptation of Houston?
To the adaptation of Houston, well, being from Houston, born and raised, I want to just keep up the traditions that we already have, first and foremost, and let all the newcomers and even remind the old comers of like what we do here and how we do it. We may move a little slower. We may not do things in the same pace as everyone else, but again, there's a reason why we move the way we move, and we do the things that we do, but still understanding that there's more than one way to do things, right? And so learning and understanding from other people, other cities, other countries, and adapting into some sort of way. I think one main example I could say is in nightlife, right? We've either reached an age or an era or some part of our lives where we don't want to do like the section culture thing. There's been like a big discourse about that online I sound old, social media about section culture and like how nightlife is changing. And like I personally, I'm not mad about a section. I don't want to pay for it, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm invited, like I come sit down, you know what I'm saying? It's about the comfortability. But if we're talking about the experience, I try to provide an experience to where we're not really trying to sit down. You have the option, sure, but we want you up and moving, dancing, socializing, speaking to one another, like actually being social again. That's what I'm contributing as far as like adaptation that we're talking about. If I want to be specific, the nightlife portion.
I agree. And you know what? Speaking of section culture, because many people in Houston, I learned that I moved here from Miami and I was a DJ in Miami. I was a DJ from 16 to honestly till I moved here when I was 27. Yeah. Okay. So like when Gems, because when you met me, I was fully in Gem. So I was pivoting from being this creative entrepreneur and DJ to this tech entrepreneur. And a lot of people in Miami didn't know I had a degree in computer science. So it's like, it's kind of like flipping. Okay. I say it to say like the nightlife here, one is popping, like people know H-Town's popping, but I also do see like the no section culture, and I'm going to be honest, like section, no section, like if the event is intentional, whether it's sections or not, I'm going to find myself having a good time because I will be honest, sometimes I need to sit down.
Yeah.
I could sit down and have conversations with people. So I don't mind sections because it's allowed me to have good conversations. Sure. But, I wouldn't probably want to go to event anywhere at a venue that just doesn't make me feel comfortable or an event that doesn't make me feel comfortable.
For sure.
So with that being said, you know, with your background in PR and creative strategy and you having one of the hottest events in Houston alone, you know, how did you marry the two?
Well, I realized that it's not much difference in the execution or the really the thought behind what we're presenting. So first of all, we're talking about Choosey Tuesdays. I do a Tuesday night called Choosey Tuesdays that originated at Ball Kitty. Shout out to Ball Kitty. NPR, a lot of it is promotion, right? Amplifying voices, products, or whatever initiative that the client is trying to push. And it may be through media, press, and things like that. But when we're talking about a nightlife portion of what we do at Choosey, it's the same thing. Like we're promoting that night. We're telling a story. We're asking people to come support us. Yeah. And the way we get it out is through media, through press, through social interactions, through social media, things like that. So it's not much different. I think if I had to point out a major difference is something that I'm doing for myself versus for a client. Right. You know, which is on the newer side for me these days because a lot of things that I do is usually very client forward. So I'm treating myself like a client in this situation. So that was a little strange at first, but I've got
that's actually a really good perspective because that makes me wonder. Like you're good at maybe executing with clients. How and what do you need to improve on to execute for yourself as the client?
And that's the everyday conversation. It's like, first of all, holding myself accountable, just like I would hold a client accountable, and then also holding myself accountable on the other side as if like, you know, I'm
your stakeholder.
Yeah. So it's just really like staying on top of things and then understanding what I want to present for my audience. Yeah. And then making sure I stay diligent on the execution part. Yeah.
Now I will say, and I've loved this since the day I've been to my first Choosey Tuesdays. You know, I went there October last year. Well, no, we're in a new year. So not October 2025. October 2024 was my first time because I went there for Amanda's after party.
Okay.
Yes. Amanda Sapp. Shout out to Amanda Sapp. And the moment I walked in, I felt eclectic vibe.
Mm.
It was my first time even feeling like that because we didn't have that level of eclecticism that I went to in Miami. There probably was like eclectic events that I just never been to.
Sure.
But that was my first time feeling that, between the DJs you selected, between the venue has selected, and then the people there.
Yeah.
I also realized it was a lead magnet because I found exactly the kind of people I wanted on my platform or the brands.
Okay.
How's having events helped you grow your PR business?
It has, because when people realize, the people that maybe don't know what I do as my 9 to 5, if you would, will realize that's what I do by seeing the success of the events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's helped me garner clients going forward. You came on a really good night. That was we had a disco party that night.
Yes.
It was Amanda's birthday. Shout out to Amanda. It was my birthday.
Shout out to you. Happy birthday,
Yeah,
Scorpio.
thank you. And we were all dressed up in our disco 70s attire, and it was just a great feeling night. And you said something important, from the DJs we chose, from the venue that we were partnering with at the time, which is Wild Kitty, and just the overall energy is really important. And so we've enjoyed presenting Choosey in that way, because it does kind of go against the regular nightlife offering that's usually being offered within the city or within multiple cities. And so we're just growing it from there.
I love that. I love that. Now, when it comes to the PR side, because PR is changing so much, I know back then, and when I say back then, let's just say like 5-10 years ago, people used to want to be in the blog so much, right? But what do you think it looks like now if a business wants exposure through PR?
Right now, it's very social media heavy, to be honest. One of the questions that I ask my clients, or prospective clients, is what are you looking for from PR?
Yeah.
Is it direct sales? Is it data capture? Is it a combination of both, or like what is it exactly? And a lot of times, if it's like direct sales, or you want it to translate to sales, then really what you want is marketing, to be honest. But if we're doing PR, it's not gonna be through the press. People say they want press, they want to get in the blogs, they want to get on TV, they want a newspaper to write about them. But is this generation, first of all, are they able to read? And then are they?
Okay.
That's a real thing.
We need to talk about it.
People can't read. It's crazy statistics behind people that can read, or can't read for that matter. Are they reading the blogs? Are they watching the news, the noon, the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock news, things like that? And then media these days, the form of press, are really boggling down on pay to play. Like, earned media is not as easy to get as it used to be. So do you have a budget for paid media? If you really want those, those blogs and things to write about you, you probably got to pay to play, and you got to pay me. You got to pay them. It's a lot of money that's involved in that. PR is actually a luxury service, which is something that I learned on the way. I had some really great mentors that taught me everything that I know. And of course, I've been doing it for a while. So there's a lot of things I've learned just from experience.
Yeah.
But it's a luxury service, meaning that you, first of all, already kind of need to be making some kind of headway before a publicist steps in. Even management, the artists and things say they need a manager. It's like, well, what do you have going on to warrant having a manager, having a publicist, things like that. So these are questions that I ask first and foremost. But to answer your question, how has it changed? Very, very social media heavy. You have to be making a buzz on social media. And, people that have, celebrities have automatic buzz. They take over everything when it comes to social media. And then you have some really strong influencers that have figured out how to play the social media game. And so when you come to a publicist or manager or whatnot, because it's fine lines between publicity, marketing, management, it's all kind of collide in some sort of way. Before you come to that prospective person or company saying to represent you, how much headway have you made yourself? Do you get any likes? Do you get impressions? Do you get these things? Because that's going to be the nucleus of. So versus back in the day, you get on a good blog or paper, magazine, things like that, and you're creating that buzz that way. But like I said, people even paying attention to that these days, unless you're Beyonce. I don't know.
Yeah, like you got to give people something to even pay attention to.
Exactly.
Like, and that's what cracks me up because I remember when I was a DJ and I worked with several artists and they was like telling me in the studio, like, yeah, I'm about to get me a publicist and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no one knows you.
Yeah.
No one knows you. Yeah, well, that's their job. I'm like, no, 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 no. Yes and no. But also in the same breath, like, break. Like how do you feel about those artists that just feel like, yep, I'm gonna get a publicist and they're gonna make me famous?
And again, that's the lore or the legend behind hiring a publicist, that they can make you famous. Beyonce is one of my favorite people that I like to use an example or a case study when it comes. She's one of my favorite artists, and she can do no wrong. But at one point in time, she was doing and saying a lot of wrong things.
Yeah.
But her father, aka her manager at the time, was really working hard to put those girls on the map. So I'm talking about performing at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? And this was before the cell phone, so you had to just be there, and it was word of mouth, stuff like that. But and so before I do too deep dive into that, but the point is that they had to build from the ground up, and artists that don't have the luxury of having a dadager or momager that's going to drop everything, and also invest into them, because how much money do you have? This is expensive to be an artist, to do anything low key, but definitely artists. When it comes to studio time, performances, things like that, wardrobe, it costs a lot of money.
Mixing, mastering, yeah.
And if you don't have that investment within you or on your side, then what are the free things that you're doing outside of me? So what I've turned to in more recent days, specifically when it comes to artists, is more so consulting. You may not necessarily need a publicist, and don't feel bad or don't take it the wrong way when I say you don't need a publicist, you don't need a manager until you actually have some things going for yourself. Right. But it is good to have someone to talk it through with, someone that knows what they're talking about.
Yes.
And paying a consulting fee is a little bit cheaper than all things that come with hiring a publicist full on. But let's talk strategy. Let's talk about what you planning on doing, and let's figure out the best way to do it. But yes, you have to go and execute it, but you would have to do that anyways. As a publicist, I'm working on your behalf on the back end. I'm making phone calls, sending emails, next one is hitting my contacts up about getting coverage. But when they look you up, when I show them your media kit or X, Y, and Z, and they don't see nothing on there or nothing that they feel like is worth the coverage, then that's not my fault.
Nope.
And I try not to take clients that I don't think is going to benefit from hiring.
Right.
Like me.
So it sounds like you're qualifying clients to see, okay, should I do strategy / consulting,
right,
or should I do execution? Because I have seen even some of my PR friends, love y'all, but we all have made these mistakes in our business. Even us with Gem Social, we have to qualify a customer to see does their business fit to leverage influencers, or do they just need strategy, right? Because I sometimes don't think that they need influencers yet, especially if they don't even have a product out, right? But I could give them a strategy for going to market because maybe they can't afford both. So y'all qualify the customer, because some of y'all are just so money hungry or just surviving, to be honest, in your business, that you're just taking the money, but you're giving poor results because you knew that they weren't qualified to be your client in the first place, but you just needed the money, and that doesn't really help for a good rep, Anytime
there's no longevity within that either.
Anytime I've ever seen you or brought up your business or brought up something of sorts, people talk very highly about you. Oh, I could tell that people have really good relationships with you, or you just build quality events that bring quality people, right? But what actually made you start having these events, specifically Choosey Tuesdays, right?
Well, Choosey is a brainchild of me and my partner DJ Elevated.
Shout out to DJ Elevated.
Shout out DJ Elevated. That's my guy. And really, I contribute to him. He wanted to kind of branch off from some of the things that he was doing already. He knew what I bring to the table, and Choosey actually was his idea. If we're being really honest, I just kind of helped make it come to life more so. So that's his brainchild, and but it's both our child now because I've adopted Choosey and the blood, sweat, and tears and all that has gone into it. But the premise behind Choosey is again doing something that's a little bit different for nightlife.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I'm 37, so we're talking about 30 something plus crowd that we usually bring to our events. You may be, the older 20 something side,
Yeah.
but it's usually 30 plus, 30 something plus. And while again, people like you and I, excuse me, can benefit or see the value within the section culture situation. But again, I'm not trying to pay for it these days. Somebody got to say something. I'm also not a culture vulture, so I'm not about to be like just who got to say. I'm not really.
Right.
I would rather go somewhere where it's open seating. And the drinks are not about to be hitting me over the head with the price, and the music's not too loud, and music also something that I want to hear.
Yeah.
Elevated. When we started Choosey, it was more so like, okay, this music that we want to hear in our living room, versus outside in the club, or a little bit of mix of both, because we want to dance, want things like that. But real music lovers are gonna appreciate the music we bring to the table. So that's your classic soul.
Right.
That's your maybe lower tempo. Sometimes it's okay to kind of just listen and be able to sit down and chill, or you want to get up and shake your groove thing,
Right.
And so just offering something that make me feel good about coming outside, especially on a Tuesday night.
Yes. Yes. Because you had people out on a Tuesday. And I knew when I was starting to go there that, again, and mind you, when I started going to your events, I was living in Rose Sharon.
Okay.
That means I was getting my black ass up from Rose Sharon, 40 minutes away, driving, and still had work the next day.
Yeah.
So that says enough, right? Because I knew that, one, I would meet good people, and I needed to network. I'm in a new city. Number two, I needed to generate leads for my business and relationships. And number three, I got to unwind. Not often do you feel like you can do all of those things, and nothing can ever replicate or duplicate that feeling that you brought, Now, at some point, you had to switch venues, right? Yeah. And I want to know, like, were you scared? Were you scared to switch venues? Because the vibe of your brand is one thing, but the vibe of the venues are different. So, are you scared?
You said something really important, because Ball Kitty really is the place that we kind of built the concept around. It was scary. It was, not as scary just because I have relationships with a lot of venues in the city. So these are just like phone calls like a Meg. Like I wasn't necessarily scared that I wasn't going to find somewhere, but scared of just the transition altogether. Yeah. And ended up working out. Shout out to Reset. Reset has been really good to us. Yeah. And it was a great pivot from the initial venue. But we are currently or constantly looking for just always the next best thing, Yep. So regardless of where we started or where we're at, right, we always just want to say, okay, like, is it still a good fit? Do we want to continue here? Is there something better? Mm-hmm. Always just trying to progress and amplify, what we have going on.
Now, just for people that are maybe watching this from a different state, this is a weekly event. And I think it depends. I know sometimes it might be bi-weekly, and then now you're taking a pause and gonna bring it back at some point. Mm-hmm. But when you were having it weekly, what pressures were you feeling, and how did you navigate around that?
I mean, weekly really feels like every day, because Tuesday comes around, the next week comes around quick, and so promotion has to be constant. Mm-hmm. So that's from putting it out there, but also creating the marketing materials, also staying on top of all the media that we create from the photos, the videos. It's the pressure comes from, hey, like, I know we just finished last night, but tomorrow we have to get right back on it. And when you're tired and when you have other things that you do or want to do.
Because that's not your only thing.
That's not my only thing.
Like,
and what if
none of y'all's only thing, actually.
And what if I got something to do next Tuesday? You know what I'm saying? Right. So luckily I have a partner and we kind of worked that out. But but is it feasible for me to say I'm not going to be here next Tuesday? Because the amount of phone calls and text messages I get on the day or the day before about the night, and then if I'm not there, everyone's looking for me. Like, how feasible is that?
And like I said, someone who DJ'd in past and even had weekly events, I sit with you. in that pressure. And I had got to a point where one of my events I had to make bi-weekly, and another one of my events I had to make monthly. When did you know it was time for you to take a pause?
When the specific dialogue that's coming out of you and your partner's mouth is that you're tired. I'm
Yeah.
tired. And so, for example, November, December 2025, we just did once a month. So we did one in November, which was Thanksgiving week, and then one Christmas week.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so happy. And we already declared, said, man, January is already a slow month just for nightlife and hospitality, food and beverage. Just like, we're just going to like just take the month off for sure. And so we've been speaking frequently just about like what we want to do next and how we want to do it. And I don't want to say too much until we finally, our final game plan. But we knew because we had been doing every single Tuesday for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Even within switching venues, there was never a break, and we were tired.
Yeah, and it's time to reset, restore.
Restore. We want to come back very fresh, fresh, refreshed, rebranded, in a sense, even if it's a soft rebrand, but just really like give people something to look forward to, and then figure out a cadence that makes sense so we won't get burned out again. So
right, because I sit with you. I think a lot of people experience burnout, especially event producers, and especially people that produce events, and that's not the only thing they're doing because you still have clients.
Exactly.
So my last parting question for you, Jordan, is what is something that you're going to do this year that you should have done in 2025?
I should have, and I feel like I say this every year, there should have been a little bit more planning and a little bit more grace that I gave myself last year. I took some time in 2025 to understand what I wanted to do in 2026. Hence things like we know we wanted to take a break, January. We figured that out in 2025, which I'm grateful for versus in super real time. But when I say grace, we come up with these ideas and and strategies and whatever you want to call it, and we feel like we have to execute tomorrow, just because we're excited or we feel like someone's going to do it before we do or something like that. And sometimes we don't allow ourselves enough leeway and grace to say, you know what, this is an idea I have. I really want to take my time with it. I really want to figure out how to really make this something before I just do anything. Right. And then sometimes you got to jump off the cliff, and I get that, but there's a balance and there's a time and a place for everything. So this year I know exactly what I want to do. But I'm listening to myself more when it comes to, hey, you know what, Jordan, maybe not tomorrow, maybe it's next week, and that's okay. Yeah. But understanding that it still needs to be executed. But if you want it to be right, you can't rush it. And you need great people around you, and you need to listen to yourself 1,000%.
I love that. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on to Content to Cash.
Thank you for having me.
Man, that was excellent. Not only did we get to cover, PR and like just some areas that people
that was too
like
quick,
clarify,
man.
But you also covered the event side because I've experienced burnout from events, and I don't even throw them as frequent as you. I told my team this year, hey, like we're gonna have to delegate. I will invest in people throwing the events, and if I can make it, I'll go. But I need to be sitting my ass here building on the app and content. I know my place. I'm so glad that you also and talked about DJ Elevated. Shout out to DJ Elevated.
Shout out to my partner Elevated.
Because y'all get to balance. Y'all get to see, what's worth doing and making decisions together. Yeah. And I'm excited because I told everyone that came today that anyone I had in January, I'm bringing y'all back in December to hold y'all accountable.
Yeah.
So that means that I'm going to look back at this episode and I'm going to see if you did that. And we're going to talk about it. So I look forward to seeing your journey this year in 2026. I can't wait to see, what events coming out next.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I just hope you have a great year.
Me too.
I really
do.
do.
Some quick shout outs?
Yeah.
Shout out DJ Elevator, my partner, Choosey Tuesdays. Shout out A-List, one of our resident DJs for Choosey. You really held it down for us in 2024 and 25. Shout out to all the venues we work with, Ball Kitty, Reset, Off the Record. We couldn't have done it without y'all. And shout out to all the people that supported Choosey Tuesdays from the start. So continuing. We appreciate you.
And I can't wait to go back, truly. So, and biggest shout out to you because you took the time to come out on a Saturday and you're doing a damn thing. I've seen a lot of your work, from seeing you at Afrotech to the events to, PR strategies, seeing you at some of similar events now. So I'm just excited for you, man. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
man.
I'm proud of you
Y'all
too.
gonna pound me back.
I'm proud.
There you go. There you go. All right, y'all. Where can we find you?
My social media is Who's Jordan Lee, WHOSJORDANLEE, or my business page, Who's Who Public Relations.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in for Content to Cash. Make sure y'all give him a follow. And don't forget to follow Choosey Tuesdays. We're going to put it in the description. And just stay tuned for what they got. And if you want to be a client of Jordan, please make sure you're ready also to be a client. But reach out to him and see how you guys can work together.
I'm really nice about it.
I'm not maybe as nice, but make sure y'all come to my boy correct. That's all I'm asking. All right, y'all. Catch y'all later. That was great.